No.
We're on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great.
So this will be.
Yep. Here comes our attorney, just in time. I'd like to call the January 29th, 2024 meeting of the Delaware County Land Reutilization Corporation to order, also commonly known as the Land Bank. We do have a fairly robust agenda today, but I think a lot of the stuff will go fairly quickly. First item is the approval of the electronic recording of the proceedings from the meeting of December 28th, 2023. And as we've done in the past, the board actions are on paper, and everybody should have received a copy of those. So anyway, I don't know if we have any changes, comments. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the electronic
Okay.
proceedings.
Second.
from
Second
the
by Commissioner Merrill.
October board meeting.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, just point of clarification, former trustee, Michelle Bonney, is not technically a trustee at this time. Her term ended on December 31st of '23, so we're at.
Board member or?
A board member, yes. Yes. And so, anyway, we've got an action item later on in the agenda to reappoint her, assuming the township trustees of at least 3 of the 4 townships who vote reappoint her as well. Okay, so we'll go on to the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report fairly straightforward. Our balance into December, $198,876.99. And there's 2 checks written out on 12/18. One to Scott Gordon in the amount of $506.25, and the city of Delaware, $6,159.50. And that's the treasurer's report.
Okay. Yeah, again, the check to the city of Delaware was for the services rendered by Diane Gunther primarily, but also Jerry Warner, who have done just great work supporting the Land Bank's mission. So I want to, again, thank both of them for their effort, and Kyle for engaging with us.
Yep.
So any further comments, questions?
I'll make a motion as treasurer to approve the report as indicated.
Okay.
I'll move to approve.
Second, Dave?
You're making the motion, I'll second it then.
Okay, second by Gary. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Financial report. Karen, I asked, we've turned over a new year, so we have to have 2023 audit done, and Karen's going to spearhead that, so I just asked her to just give us an update on the process.
Okay, I'm Karen First, Fiscal Manager for the Board of Commissioners, and I've been working with Julian Grube the last couple weeks to work on the basic financial statements, so we should be seeing the first draft very soon on that. And Ray and Associates will be the one doing the countywide audit, and since we're a component part of that audit, but they have not started yet. So I'll keep everybody posted as I hear things from everyone. So,
Okay.
all right,
All right.
thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Karen. We do have a few invoices to approve today. The Ohio Land Bank Association annual dues, $600. The insurance policy liability insurance policy with SFM Insurance, Cincinnati Insurance Company. SFM is the broker. Small increase, about $85, about 2.5% for the insurance policy from last year. And then Scott Gordon, our attorney's invoice through December, the end of December, $1,068.75. Any comments, questions? I would entertain a motion to approve those invoices for payment.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Second, Kyle. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, the motion carries. Those invoices are approved for payment. Ally probably has checks ready, I'm guessing, or Karen has checks ready. Okay. All right. Okay, demolition and round 1 replacement demolition project updates. Diane, again, thanks Diane for keeping us up to date and working through this process. She has worked through, just kind of a bit of background. round one, each county got $500,000 allocated to it in round one, and we originally had spent, about a year ago, we had spent about 200,000 of it, which left 300,000. And originally, we were expecting to spend 500,000, but those actual expenses came in well under what we had projected, so we had 300,000 of extra funding. And 4 projects were advanced that Diane had prepared for submission, totaling just shy of the 300,000. One of them was disallowed, and that was actually a county project over on our engineer's site on the east side of the town, Channing Street. It was rejected because it needed to be a brownfield application. And so that leaves us with about 63,000 now of funds that are available in round one. And the round one applications have to be submitted by April 1st of this year, and they have to be completed by, let's see, well, there's so many dates. I think they have to be completed by June 30th. June 30th. They're very quick. So round one has to be finished, applications submitted by April 1st, and then demolition work completed by the end of June. So we do have, and we'll get into it as we get into round two as well, but we do have 63,000 available still from round one. Round two is another whole $500,000 of funding. It's guaranteed to each county. Its deadline is April 1st of this year as well. Now that construction doesn't have to be done, or demolition doesn't have to be done until next May of 25. So there's a little more time in that regard. So having said all that, we do have update. Diane did prepare an update. I don't know, I hope everybody got a chance to read it. I've summarized a little bit, but there is 63,000 available for round one still, and there's roughly 300,000 available for round two. And we've got 4 projects, all in the city of Powell, teed up to be applied for and tentatively approved by the ODOD. So that leaves us 300,000. And that's kind of where we are. So I thought if let's see, Thin Bowie from our Economic Development Department has been working, representing the Economic Development Department activity on this, because they've been out, just spreading the word that this funding is available for demolition and/or brownfield. And I asked her to just prepare it, because she's been the point person from the ED department to handle inquiries and work with the folks who are interested in the grants. So I'll let you bring us up to date on what you're hearing, Dan.
Perfect. Good afternoon. My name is Thin Bowie, Economic Development Administrator for Delaware County. The 4 projects before you were brought to my attention in roughly December of 2023. The first project on the docket is City of Westerville Old Manor Care Facility. The estimated cost of the project is roughly $500,000, but that is a very, very rough estimate at this time. This property is located at 140 Oak County line, and it has been boarded up and vacant since 2019. The city is actually in litigation with the current property owner at this time. The court has provided a list of projects and timeline for the current property owner to complete. However, there's also, the property owner is also in negotiation to sell the property to a developer. So at this time, we are pretty certain this project will either move forward under the new property owner or the old property owner, because the building has to be renovated or demo. From the city perspective, they would like to see the property be demo. It's just too much to be done to get the property back to what it was before.
Okay. What's been your most recent communication with the city on this one?
I spoke to the city about 2 weeks ago, and it's just price negotiation between the two, the owner and the developer at this time.
Okay. Okay.
Who's the developer?
I do not know that information.
Is the city trying to acquire this property?
The city is not.
But they were in the past. Isn't this property that's immediately adjacent to a fairly large green space that the city owns?
I do not know if the city is trying to acquire it at this time. I do know that they are working with a developer that wants to acquire this property.
And this is in Delaware County.
It is in Delaware County.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
very good. Thank you, then. If you could keep going.
All right. The second project is Mill on Flex. The estimated cost of the project is $300,000. When we were working on the Mill on Flex bond fund with DCFA, they had mentioned that they would like to apply to the building demolition grant, but no further information has been provided to us at this time. Monica, my supervisor, has reached out to the developer last week, but we haven't received any communication back at this time.
Okay. Same thing on this one. When was the last time you did talk to the folks that are running this, Daimler, I presume?
Monica is the lead on this project.
Okay.
She emailed the developer last week, but we have not heard back yet.
Okay, okay. My understanding is that project is moving along, and they've already started demolition, I think. I'm not sure. Kyle, do you know for sure?
I believe they started demolition, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that would be probably a problem, because if it's already started demolition, they can possibly still apply for the demolition grants, but it may, because of the delays, because they wouldn't even be authorized to start work until April. You know, my guess is they probably wouldn't want to wait that long if they've already started the work, because it's 3 months.
I think
and
they probably have to suspend any work.
I'm sorry, what?
If they applied on the day of the application, they'd have to suspend
Probably.
anything they're doing.
Yeah, I can't imagine they'd want to wait 3 months and doing nothing.
Is it possible that maybe one property on that side is not being demoed at the current time and might qualify, or, but not the whole project?
That's what I thought. I wasn't aware that there was anything that was gonna be demoed, but
Yeah, there's a couple.
That's a question, I don't know the answer.
is
to.
there's
it
a couple
partial demolition of a building?
I'm-
Or is it a separate freestanding structure?
Unfortunately, I don't have any other information than what's provided.
My understanding is the old automotive service center on the corner was going to be demolished. There's a little building behind it, and then there's a kind of an old garage way in the back that are all going to be demolished.
So these aren't part of the building that's gonna be
No.
rehabbed for?
No,
part of
that's the old
retail or
Allied
commercial?
Storage building.
If that's what we're talking about, 300,000 seems kind of high, doesn't it?
It does, and again, this is another one of those, just a real wild guess. I don't think there's any.
Right.
If it's part of a garage, there's no underground storage tank issues, are there?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, again, that'd be part of the process to do the phase one at least. So, anyway, okay, I think this one is probably not gonna be, move forward with this round of funding. They've already started, I think, again, and, we don't have any details, and I know they're moving along. They've got their funding, they're closed, and they're moving along, and it's an important project.
These buildings are the ones we're talking about, the deadline next year for completion, is that correct?
Well, if it's round one, it would be this June.
That's the 63,000 we have left, but
clearly
that's,
wouldn't.
I don't get the impression we're far enough along with any of these to,
Yeah. And so it would, yeah, you're right, it'd be likely round two. So, okay,
All right, great.
let's go on to the next one then. Got a couple from Ohio Wesleyan.
The next project is with Ohio Wesleyan University Bashford Hall. This was an old dormitory and is currently vacant. The university would like to demo the facility and potentially rebuild it as a new dormitory or add to the green space on campus.
Okay.
There's no, unfortunately, there's no estimated cost on this project at this time.
That one I did hear from Ohio Wesleyan today, as a matter of fact. Just kind of working on this, working on all these things. They said it would estimate at $265,000 is what the estimate for Bashford is. So, anyway, again.
Jeff, would there be a possibility of using the 24-25 money
Well, yeah.
for remediation of the old library?
Well, they aren't sure what they're gonna do with the library. So April
It's
1st.
vacant, isn't it?
The what?
It's vacant.
It is vacant, yes. Yeah, it's been vacant since last year ended,
Yeah.
last school year ended. But again, they just don't know. You know, they may knock it down, they may renovate it.
I think there are mold issues with it.
There are some old issues, yep. But Bashford, they are confident they're gonna knock it down. And, so I think that one makes sense to consider. Obviously, the 265,000 would be way more than what we could do in round one, so it would have to go into round two, because we do have 300,000 available, or 293,000 available for round two.
Of 24-25 money.
Yeah, 24, 25, right? So, anyway, that one, you know, may get advanced. Keep on going then?
The last project on the docket is also from Ohio Wesleyan University. There are 12 tennis courts next to the Meek Aquatics and Recreation Center. There's a map of it in your packet at the right end corner. There are 12 tennis courts there. It's not currently being used, so they would like to demo the tennis courts. And two options for that site: to either leave it as green space for the university or turn it into practice field specifically for the hockey teams.
Okay, okay.
Is there an estimate for,
Not yet,
I don't,
unfortunately.
yeah, I heard 120,000, but that again is a real rough estimate.
no more simplifying, we're basically talking about just tearing up concrete. but-
Yeah, I don't know how much it costs to dig up blacktop, but.
I will be talking to the university to see if there's a possibility for them to take round one funding to complete that project, since it seems like an easier project than the others.
Yeah, and it might fit, you know, they might be able to do it for 60-some thousand. To Commissioner Merrill's point, I think that 120,000 to tear up blacktop and knock down the fences and nets and everything seems like a lot, but who knows?
Mr. Benton, since we're talking about this, Kevin Vaughn from Liberty, we discussed Thursday evening, asked him to come today. Since we're talking about these projects and these monies, it might be a good time for him to fill us in on the two projects that you have identified. So you might want to have him come up.
Yeah,
Thank you,
okay,
Commissioner.
thank you, then. Thank you very much for monitoring all that. Kevin, welcome.
Thanks.
We record these meetings in case you
Yep,
hadn't figured it out.
absolutely. Kevin Vaughn, Township Administrator for Liberty Township. Appreciate being before you today. And as Commissioner Merrill said, you know, I just approached him Thursday evening at an RPC meeting just to inquire about some process and just what's involved. We are at the very beginning stages of a project, and he invited me to come here today, so I appreciate it. What we're looking at is, as you may know, we have recently built a new fire station, and where the old fire station is, we're trying to determine if there's a useful life for that building. And we keep coming to the belief that there's probably not, or if there is, it may be a partial demo of the existing building. The existing building was built in 1990, so it's got some issues that are beyond any kind of return of investment, to the tune of about $2 million to make it a good, worthy building long-term. So
That's to remediate it.
that's to get it to be a useful space, but not really determining a purpose for that space, just kind of buttoning it up. Needs new roof, which includes sheeting underneath the roofing, new siding, new windows, probably HVAC. So a lot of work that would need to be done regardless of what kind of use would be there. So that's one. I do have a couple of maps, if I may approach and
Sure,
and hand these to you.
Okay. I'm familiar with, this is the station on Liberty Road then.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So Kevin, when we spoke, you indicated there might be a possibility tearing down the fire station part of it, but maintaining the office part?
I'm sorry, sir.
When we spoke Thursday evening, you indicated there's a possibility that you would tear down the fire station part, but maintain the office part. Is that still a possibility? Or-
Yeah, so on the map, you could see there, the gray building just south of the baseball fields. The portion that runs east-west is the fire station bays and the living quarters, and that section that jets out on an angle is what we're potentially looking at keeping. So that's the old township hall, where the trustees used to have their meetings. There's office space in there. So there was a thought to see if we can renovate that for public event space, just some rentable space that seems to be at a premium in our community. We've not gotten a cost to do that, or if it's even possible, but that would be where I had mentioned the partial demo would come. We would see if we could take off that portion of the bays and the living quarters from the fire station. Also, on this map, you can see to the east, those brown roofed buildings. Those are our road department. So we are currently in the process of constructing a new road and parks building, and we'll be relocating our road department to that. That construction anticipated date of completion for that construction is June, July, August. We're looking more like August as we come through the weather. So after that, these buildings will be ready for demo. And again, we're just looking for what our options are for whether we take this on ourselves or if there's some funding opportunities for us to get us some assistance in that. So just kind of get your thoughts on that, understand your funding cycle, which I understand now. Thank you. Application process, any environmentals that would be required. I think Commissioner Merrill mentioned that phase ones at least, or maybe Mr.
Yeah, I
Commissioner
would
Bennett.
assume phase ones in these projects, in these types.
Just wanted to kind of put that on your radar and answer any questions.
Well, so these are really two independent projects, the 3 brown roof buildings, which you indicated, that was the other project you were mentioning when we spoke Thursday evening.
Yes, sir.
I'm not an expert, but $63,000 might be able to cover those if there's not a better project. That's a kind of a question, or?
Very likely. I'm certainly not an expert in.
Could you have those, would you have to have those in service until you move into the new facilities?
Yeah.
We
good
would
point,
be,
good point.
we're actually working with our contractor, I know the general contractor on that, to see if we can move into some of those spaces before completion date. I'm not sure we're going to be able to accomplish that, but this would certainly accelerate that conversation.
That's park storage?
This is only roads in this building, in
Okay.
these buildings.
You're talking about those 3 brown buildings?
Yes, sir. So the 2 to the very east of the parcel are salt bins. The center one is cold storage. And then the very west one is the maintenance shop.
What is cold storage?
Just simply a pole building that we store all of our,
Equipment in?
yep.
Is there an issue with the salt?
That was my
I mean,
environmental
how much
question.
salt
I'm
is
not
gonna have to be
sure.
Pulled out with the salt.
You know, right down the street is the county's facility. I'm not gonna speak for the county engineer's office, but there might be a conversation to be had there.
So we are, in the new roads and parks facility, we do have a salt storage facility within that
So
project that
you
we'll
would
be
expect to
completing.
move the salt from
So-
one place to the other.
We can move, yeah, we'll definitely move that salt over.
There'd still be some that would have to be taken out and probably disposed of because it's leached into the ground.
The ground intrusion is what
Get
we're
this
not
into a
sure.
brownfield situation there. I just forgot my question.
Yeah, Kevin, you're under a tight window here.
you know,
Oh, I was gonna say, why couldn't he go ahead, why couldn't the township go ahead and put their application together for the 24-25 money? Because they know they're gonna have a project, and we can go ahead and get that in the pipeline,
yeah.
get it teed up and ready to go.
And I think we could certainly, if there's higher priority projects that you all have before you this funding cycle, as you mentioned, Commissioner, it would be pretty quick to get that.
So I think we're gonna have to do some prioritizing about
Yeah.
which
Oh, yeah.
one comes
Oh, yeah.
first.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be prioritizing.
So, until we have maybe a little more definitive information about who can make what deadlines,
Yeah.
but that needs to be done fairly quickly by all the applicants.
Yeah, that's gonna be, yeah, there's a couple things. Whether it's round one or round two, the application has to be basically done by mid-March.
Right.
Because Diane has to assemble them all and then communicate with ODOD and get formal approval by April 1st.
So I think there would be, perhaps consideration on this board's part is maybe 25. We look at
But-
forwarding this project.
Yeah, and then the point I was gonna make next is, again, the state has done the demolition grant program for 2 years now, two rounds. The brownfield, interestingly, they did the first round, and then they did the second round for 2 years. But the demo, the second round of the demo, they only did for 1 year. Now, everybody that I'm talking to at the State House says that they expect that come June of this year, the budget will include another round of demolition grant funding. But there's no guarantees, and that would go into effect then in July of this year. So that, presumably, that would be another 500,000 on top of the two 500,000s in the round one and round two. And then obviously that would be later on, that would probably be a year from now, right, when those applications would be due. So this could very well move into that one.
Yep.
But again, whoever fills what is available in round one and the 300,000 in round two is gonna have to move quickly because basically the applications have to be done by mid-March and then vetted by April 1st. So that does play into all the priorities and so on.
And I clearly don't want to set ourselves up or your board up for failure. So I don't think we would be able to move that quickly.
Yeah.
So you're
But
looking
but
at-
there, nevertheless, there's a very good likelihood that there'll be another 500,000 available come July 1st of this year.
But
which
no
would be-
guarantees.
Yeah,
Right.
which would fit timing-wise much better, I think.
The old fire station are there underground storage tanks there?
There is not.
No? Okay.
Okay.
The, the storage you have in these brown buildings, the fire station is now vacant, correct?
It is. Well,
Could those
yes.
storage be moved to the fire station to go ahead and do some of those buildings? That's a question. I'm just
We
trying to help
could,
you
I
out.
mean, we're storing, when we're in storm prep, we'll store some salt trucks over there to kind of keep them warm right now. The lights are on, the utilities are on, so it's certainly possible that we can modify that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Good to know, Kevin, thank you.
Thank you very much for your
Yeah,
time.
it's good.
Appreciate it.
Good to know there are multiple projects available, so.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll keep in touch as things go forward. And we learn more about round three, assuming there is a round three.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Kevin. I think that's it for the updates. Anybody else have anything to update on round one or round two, the demolition side?
So we're gonna have to meet again in a few weeks to,
Yeah, I think late February, early March to see
and
where.
some of these estimates of cost, it came in, if they overestimate the cost, then we end up not spending the money,
I know.
which we just experienced. So you may not know the answer to this, if someone, let's say the real cost might be 300,000, we have 150,000. Can they take the other 150 out of their pocket and just get partial? Or does it have to be fully funded in this program?
Well, actually, another important thing to consider is each county is guaranteed 500,000, but if you go above
Something
500,000,
come back.
the amount above 500,000 is subject to a 25% match. So if we end up submitting 600,000, then of the 100,000 above 500, 25,000 would have to be funded locally. So, and then we do have the brownfield application as well, and Mr. Lehner's here as well. But what we've talked about so far is just strictly the demolition grant program. There is a, as I mentioned earlier, there is a brownfield grant program. And we did have one applicant in the first round, and that was the Sunny V property. And that is just about finished. The approval was for, I think, $106,000 at our last meeting. And they've finished the demolition work. Now they're just, they need to finish. That's been paid. I think we've been reimbursed. Have we been reimbursed, Karen? Not yet. Okay. But anyway, that, we'll get that reimbursement. And then they have to go back in and reseed and smooth level out some stuff. So there's a little bit of work left on that, but it will not, it should not be a problem to fit within the budget that we had allocated. So anyway, that's round one of brownfield. Round one of the brownfield is closed. We aren't allowed any replacement projects on the brownfield program, round one. Now, round two is open, and it's $1 million for each county. And we do have an application from the Lehner Group, 7775 Dublin Road, and that's for $400,000. And you've been working with Diane, I know from the city. We have a partnership agreement drafted and I think approved by the parties involved. So we're ready to go forward with that $400,000. The other thing with the brownfield in round two is the storage tanks on 23, which I know you and I have talked about. It's the county property, the service station where we service the county vehicle, where we did service the county vehicles. Now they're being done out of the Bixby campus. That property will probably be sold, but it needs to be cleaned up, the storage tanks removed. And Diane has confirmed with the ODOD that it has to be a brownfield project since it's an old gas station. So that one, I am recommending we move forward with that one as well. It won't be anywhere near.
That's the county,
That's county property.
is 44.
And Justin's been working on
44
that.
enough?
Justin, you want
What'd you say?
to?
44 enough?
I'm sorry, what?
Is 44 enough?
44,000?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll ask the
That's what
expert
we
here.
have in here right now. Isn't that the same number?
Yeah, well, Justin should have the updated numbers. Justin, you
Sure.
want to update us on that one?
Sure, thanks, Commissioners. Justin Navi, Director of Finance. The current quote in the packet is still valid, and that's through Terracon. We were trying to, I submitted the Channing Street property, that got denied. And then I went back and submitted the service station for round two, that got denied. And I asked them to try again on round one, and that got denied. So I'll be submitting for the brownfield here in the next couple of weeks.
And that's going to be in the 44,000 range?
Correct.
What was the reason for denial of the first
I,
applications?
it's not, both properties aren't technically brownfield properties per the EPA. I think it's because they have underground fuel tanks. They wanted to free up money on the demo grant and use up the brownfield money.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with the Channing Street property, with the closing coming up soon, we just had to kind of move forward with
So
that
they
project.
denied them under the remediation money,
Right.
not the brownfield money.
Correct.
So it's just in the wrong bucket, basically.
Yeah, I was, a lot of it was just the timing with Homeport, just trying to expedite things. So fortunately, we have more time with the service station.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, I think with the brownfield remediation, again, presuming the Lehner project goes forward, we'll have another 45, maybe we will approve 50, but it leaves us over 500,000. And at this point, I don't know of any other brownfield applications that are pending.
The only property I've heard of is the Clark Station on
South
South
Sandusky.
Sandusky. That's the only other vacant station here in the town I know
Do
of.
you know anything about that, Kyle? Is that?
No, I haven't heard any updates on that. with that
I
station.
thought there was activity there.
I can follow up with Jerry Warner on that.
Yeah, but again, it's tight timeline, round two. Although, again, with the brownfield, there is a guarantee of another $1 million in round three, and that takes a little bit of the time pressure off. But if he wants to do it in round two, it has to be.
We'd like to use as much as possible around.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If we can get it done. So if you could check with Jerry
Yeah,
and let us know, that'd be great, because that'd be a good use of that money.
I haven't checked recently, but when I was looking at that about 6 or 8 months ago, there's a significant tax delinquency.
There's what, Dave?
Oh, in that building?
And, we could look at taking it. Putting it up in,
You say significant, we're talking 4 or 5 years? Or longer?
probably at least, yeah. It's a
Okay.
significant amount of money. I'll get the exact number and get it to the board members, but.
I will say that the quotes on these fuel tank removals are under the current bid threshold of 75,000, and Terracon's easy to work with, so I think if that gets transferred or conveyed over to the land bank, we could get that taken care of pretty quick for the Clark Station.
Okay,
So,
good.
If we got it, then we could do some things with it and then put it back into productive use. Somebody would do something with that.
Oh, yeah, it's a good corner. Okay, thanks, Justin.
Yes, or something. Somebody would do something with it.
All right. On the demolition grant applications, we need to take action to promote or to support some additional grant applications. We have a little bit of money available in round one. We have 300,000 available in round two. So where I am thinking is if we could, Kevin, you're probably not going to be able to participate in round one or round two. Yeah, that's a big ask for such a short time frame. So that means, and Westerville's well, clearly wouldn't qualify for round one replacement, and same with the Mill and Flax and Wesleyan.
Well, let me ask you a question about the Wesley one. The one that might qualify.
Yeah,
it'd be
tennis
fairly
courts.
simple, those tennis courts.
Yeah,
It can't be that complicated
you wouldn't think.
to do that, and now it's only 63,000, so if Ohio Wesleyan could
Yeah,
make up the difference, maybe.
maybe, or
Can they move that fast?
I think so. I do. I do think they
Really?
can. Yeah. They know in both cases, they need to be done. So that's a huge step forward at the university, is saying, okay, we're committed to knocking Bashford down. We're committed to, getting rid of these tennis courts.
Well, if they could put the project together, even if it's over 63, if they could put the project together so that it can be pieced, take the 63 and then take the balance
Yeah.
out of the 24, 25 money.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Can they do
is
that?
They can't split between rounds.
No?
No, can't be split. But I'm thinking kind of
Take
maybe
out
the
6
Gary's.
courts. They could take out
It's
6
the one
courts.
project where you probably could use that money that's,
Right. They could take out 6 courts, that's one project, and they could take out the next 6, that's another project.
Well, I think we can work with them and say, we've got 63,000 you
You
can
want it.
spend. But it has to be done basically mid-March, and the construction done by the end of
Are you gonna
June.
talk to them?
Yeah, I'll talk to him. So anyway, I think, I don't know of any others that could, Justin, you got comment? I don't know of any others that could fit in that 63,000.
Thanks, Commissioners. I was talking to John Melvin this morning before session. There is a residential property that the county owns next to the service station that's going to be vacated, and there's talks about demoing that building. It's not actually in the city jurisdiction, if you know the building I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
on the hill there.
Yeah.
talking about the one where the current code enforcement's at.
Yeah. So if that one, John, I talked to John, he was going to reach out and get a quote this morning.
Oh,
And talk
okay.
to some vendors about maybe demoing that one.
Okay.
Which one, where is this again?
It's a residential property up on the hill by one of the EMS stations by the fairgrounds on 23 North.
Okay.
Up there with the antenna.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be good.
Yeah.
That's a good possibility.
So, thanks.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Anybody other? Yeah, Kevin? Yeah, we're recording, so you gotta come up to the microphone.
Yeah, maybe I spoke too soon in kind of considering, what, I guess is, I would need a little bit more information of the full extent of the application, understanding that we may have a month or so.
Yeah, the process is, do environmental assessments, gather estimates, multiple estimates on the costs, and, there's other, just technical stuff that have to be submitted. So Diane Gunther at the City of Delaware is the contact who has all the forms and very knowledgeable.
If you have a relationship with Genoa, talk to them, because they just put a project application together and it's funded. So if you
Yeah.
talk- if you talk to each other.
Genoa
talk-
did.
Talk to them and they can tell you what
Powell
it
did
takes
it
to
as
put
well.
together.
Powell, applied for several things.
Yeah, we could certainly give it a great go.
But again, I don't think we're going to have conclusions today, but we will have, and we're going, like I said, we're going to have to set up another meeting early March probably, give you 30 days to get whatever information you can, see if, work with Diane to see if you can get everything she needs, so, by March 15th or so.
Right.
And we've got 63,000 in round one, 300,000 in round two, and we want to spend it all.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Whoever, at our next meeting, the people have got to be prepared. We can't walk out here with, well, we think we can get it done.
Right.
They've got to be,
Yes.
their ducks have got to be in order at that
We
meeting.
need something we can act on.
Yep, very true. Okay. Okay, so let's wrap up round one and round two demo. Again, not wrap up, finalize, but in terms of recommending going forward, I think we've got a number of projects that would be very good to be submitted either as round one or round two. Round one, to the extent they don't exceed 63,000, round two, to the extent they don't exceed 300,000. But in terms of priorities, sounds like the tennis courts, if they can get it down to 63,000 or be willing to pay whatever difference is, they could go into round one and probably be done by June of '24. And then as far as round two, the big one is Bashford. I think they could have the information finished and the application ready by mid-March. And they could certainly have the demo done by May of '25. So I think that one could, and that would take up the majority, significant majority of the funding that's available in round two. And the others, City of Westerville, again, a lot of uncertainty there. If they're negotiating with the developer to sell it, they're probably not going to want to take on the hassles of administering a grant and let the new buyer take care of all that.
Well, if that's the property that I'm thinking of, there's the ownership group, I believe, was either in Syracuse or Rochester,
Yeah. Don't know.
and they're difficult people,
They're what?
difficult people.
Yeah. And again, there's no agreement in place, so the city doesn't have jurisdiction to make an agreement. They would have to create a partnership and, or get an agreement with the developer or the buyer, so it's, now again, round three, it may work out very well from a timing standpoint.
So for the The City of Westerville project is just, there's a huge discrepancy in price right now between the potential buyer and the current owner right now. But because the court has listed a project timeline for the current property owner, so for example, by the end of February, they have to, the basement is currently flooded. They'll have to pump that water out by the end of February. The roof has to be done by the end of the year. So if the potential owner cannot close the deal because of price discrepancy, the current owner will still have to remedy the situation. And at this time, the cost to renovate the current building is just too high comparing to just
Tearing it down.
demolish the building and rebuild. So that's the information I have at this
I
time.
think there was a vermin issue there too.
Wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Well, again, good idea to address that property, but I don't think that's going to happen in the next 45 days.
Can I offer a suggestion? It's really going to get down to who can provide us with a
Yep.
complete and thorough application by our next meeting date.
Yeah.
So I think we make it known, and who comes to the table, then we evaluate whoever that is.
That's right.
City of Westville, I doubt when you're debating between old and new owners, and it doesn't, but they have the same opportunity, if we're talking getting back together in 30 days, and then we evaluate what's in front of us.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think we should try to prioritize now, we don't know.
No. Let the prioritization be the people going to be ready.
Yeah, yeah. And try to fill as much of the 63 that's available in round one, and try to fill as much as we can of the 300, 293 that's
I think the
24,
tennis
25.
courts is a possibility.
I'm sorry?
The tennis courts, I think,
Oh.
could be a possibility because
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the simplicity of the project,
Right.
compared to the others.
So I think where you're headed, and I think it makes sense, is we don't really have an action to take at this meeting, because there's just a lot of work that needs to be done with a very tight deadline. And, you know, we'll communicate with all the interested parties and say, hey, you know, if you want to be in round one, here's the deal. If you want to be in round two, here's the deal. And we'll keep working with them in the meantime and reconvene late February, early March.
And to be considered, you've got to have
Yeah.
I'll just say your ducks in order.
You gotta have Diane's thumbs up. Diane is very, very good. She really knows those applications and those
Jeff,
processes.
if we had a project for the 63,000, how long would it take development to say, okay, it's a go?
How long would it take the developer to what?
Development, the ODOD, Ohio Department of Development, how long?
Diane says they've been very responsive. You know,
They need to be very responsive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why she's saying, I gotta have the completed application by March 15th to give her 2 weeks to get back and forth with ODOD, because they have to have sign off by April 1st.
Okay.
So, so I think that's the way we'll go. Everybody okay with that? We'll move forward and just communicate with Finn. We'll work with you on the ones that you're working on, and Justin, you as well. Now, that's the demo side. The brownfield side, again, Mr. Lehner, I don't know if you want to just bring us up to date on the work you've done. I know you've done a lot of work. Scott's been involved, and I want to thank Scott for his engagement in getting the agreement to a point where we think we can sign it.
I think we're at a good spot, and, yeah, Matt Lehner from Lehner Company LLC, and Jeff Petz.
Pates, yeah, Pates Environmental?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so certainly thank you, Scott, for putting the agreement together. It seems like it was modeled after, like you said, the previous agreement with Concord Township, and so a lot of similarities. I've reviewed it, I know Jeff's reviewed it. There was just one question that we had, and that was with respect to acknowledgement of prevailing wages. And in the previous, in our previous grant, or current grant, previous grant, we had clarified through Commerce that, in fact, this was not a prevailing wage situation because there's a private developer on it.
Right.
And so as long as that constitutes acknowledgement of it, then, I think that the agreement is in great shape.
I think what Mr. Lane is referring to is within some of the acknowledgements that, that I'd included in here, it said an acknowledgement of mandatory state wage pay scales for the program, but because of prior confirmation that there will not need to be prevailing wages paid, I just edited it to say an acknowledgement of any applicable mandatory state wage pay scales. In his case, there
Wouldn't
may
apply.
not be any applicable, prevailing wage requirements, but just to keep reference within it in case that would somehow, somehow change, and that Department of Commerce or Department of Development would say, oh, no, when you're doing this type of work, you do need to have pay prevailing wages, then I figured just keeping that reference in that. Other than that, Mr. Lehner and his company had a prior agreement that was, I think, reviewed by the county prosecutor from a form that we had created when we were creating our subrecipient agreements and all that, and then the county prosecutors had reviewed it on representing the Concord Township and entered into a partnership agreement with Lehner Company, and we took that and then modified it for this relationship. So the purpose behind this partnership of agreement would be to acknowledge the relationship between the land bank and Lehner Company, highlight the expectations that the land bank has with the Lehner Company, and then highlight the fact that in this situation, it's expected that everyone would cooperate, submit the grant application. Lehner Company would pay for the contemplated scope of work, and then the land bank would facilitate receiving reimbursement and then reimburse Lehner Company.
Okay.
And that's exactly how it works right now with Concord Township. So it's a workflow that we're very comfortable with. Diane has been great to work with. She knows these things inside and out. So it seems like we're at a good spot, stopping short of just signing this and agreeing it and everybody coming together on it. Then we can hit send on the application and then get that over to
So
development.
you're comfortable with the language that Scott's proposed about the applicable wages?
Correct.
Again, presuming you won't be subject to prevailing wages?
Correct.
Okay. And then secondly, again, just to clarify, the land bank is not advancing the money and then getting reimbursed. It's your firm will pay the contractors and then get reimbursed through the land bank.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
Just wanna
right.
Make
And
sure everybody understands that.
In the workflow, as far as reimbursing, or sharing those invoices for reimbursement, is that a similar process like I've heard for the few meetings that I've been here? So we present the invoice and then it's voted on and then it's dispersed. Is that generally the workflow here?
Well, the Sunny D is the same structure, but we paid those up front and got reimbursed. This time,
Well, I think what will happen is you'll receive those invoices, you'll communicate that to Diane, you will pay those invoices, and then you'll submit it to Diane. Diane will probably bring it to our attention, and then the land bank would say, well, we'll get verification, the work's been completed, the contractors have been paid, then the land bank through the portal will submit the paid invoice to the Ohio Department of Development, ask for reimbursement that way.
and then we
That's
pass
what I
that
would
through.
anticipate happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't control that time frame.
Sorry?
We wouldn't control the time frame getting a check back from the state.
Do you require an affidavit, proof of payment from each contract?
Frankly, that's a question for Diane. It's
Okay.
whatever the Department of Development would
Okay,
require.
they
I
haven't
mean,
required it yet, we've
Oh,
seen
okay.
it before.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
so I would think something
That's
to
not a
evidence to
problem.
the land bank to say the services have been completed and,
Right.
yeah, I paid it. And then the land bank says, okay, good, let's get reimbursement.
Okay.
And then be able to pass it on. So really, I would think that would be Diane and the Ohio Department of Development's. Ask them.
Okay.
Okay.
So do we have something we need to approve today?
Yeah, I think we approve submitting the application to the ODOD at the last meeting. Now we're asking for approval to sign the not IGA, sign the partnership agreement between the land bank and Lehner Corporation
Company,
Company.
almost. I'll get there someday.
I make a motion that we approve the land bank to adopt or approve or participate in completing the contract with the Lehner Company.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second, Kyle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we got approval to sign that agreement. I Scott, I know, do we have a clean version that we could sign today?
I'll have to look through to see if I have a clean one that didn't have a
Okay.
draft on it. I printed off other draft copies in case.
Yeah, I've got a draft copy, but
Okay.
we'll get a clean version signed and to you today or tomorrow.
Scott, could you get a copy of that out to all of us, or at least,
Yes, and I'll give you one now, and then
oh,
I'll
okay.
email it out.
Yeah, I just want the final one. I don't
I get you. Yes.
want anything in between.
Okay,
Thank you.
I think we're done.
Great.
Good luck.
Okay.
The fun
Big
begins.
project.
How's the coffee shop doing?
Yeah,
They are, they're doing well. They had their grand opening on Saturday. I wasn't able to attend it. Actually, Jeff was there. You may remember the reason that we bought the building is my wife has a business, a charcuterie board business. And so she was there and built some special cups just to celebrate their opening. And at one point she said there were 70 people there.
really?
And so
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a double-decker bus that was bringing people in because the parking lot is not 70 cars worth, but, exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, I drove by there a couple times over the weekend, and it looks really nice. Parking lot's great, and there were a bunch of cars in the parking lot when I
Yeah.
drove by both
They are
times.
just slammed. They
Great
really are.
coffee, great coffee.
Good, good to hear. Good to
And
hear.
if there actually, this would be a good audience, if there is a local, like sandwich maker, I know that they are looking for that, so if
Oh,
you've got somebody in your back pocket, I know they'd appreciate a referral, so. But thank you for asking.
Okay,
Yep.
very good.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, so that's the partnership agreement for that project. Where is it in my list here? There it is. Okay, now, we've done the round 2 update, the foreclosure update, nothing in progress. Dave, anything in the treasurer's office on foreclosures?
I'm sorry?
Any foreclosures initiated in the treasurer's office?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
What about the clerks you mentioned? Is that something you're going to be looking into? or-
Well, we have, and there has been correspondence with the owner, but it's old, like 6 or 8 months.
Okay.
Because at one time, I think Don was ready to move if, the land bank was ready to go. So he's not gonna foreclose on it unless the land bank's ready to do something with it, I don't think.
Okay, the round 1 IGA extension, the next item on the agenda, that has been completed. I have signed it. It has been signed by the city, so that one is finished. Round 2 IGAs, we do have, I think it's Scott's recommendation, we wanted to create a separate IGA for the brownfield program and the demolition program with the city of Delaware. Both of those have been through our attorney, Scott, and the city, and I think everything is all set up.
Yes, the only changes between these two IGAs, they specifically refer to these round 2 projects of brownfield and demo programs. Ms. Harris, the city attorney for the city of Delaware, and I talked, and we thought it would be better and cleaner, just given there's different timelines. Also, the city of Delaware very minimally increased their rates that would be charged for Ms. Gunther, as well as if Mr. Warner is involved. Aside from, and then obviously we included, not obviously, but we included language to say that if these round 2 programs also get extended and we need to extend these, then we've allowed for that. Other than that, there were no other substantive changes of this agreement compared to our IGA with the city for round 1s of demo and brownfield programs.
So we need approval for the chair to sign.
Yeah, that's the next step.
Motion to approve the chair to
Good.
execute the IGAs with.
The 2 IGAs.
2 IGAs with the city of Delaware.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Scott, I will sign those whenever those are available as well.
I've got clean copies of those right here, so
Okay.
before you leave, I can have you sign them.
Okay. All right, one other point that we actually, I think, need to take action on is if you remember from last time, we did approve a $100,000 brownfield application for the property at the corner of Lake and Central. In correspondence with the individual who was representing the owner, that person has withdrawn that application and is not interested in proceeding forward. So we had approved authorizing $100,000. I would like to have action to withdraw that approval, just so we don't have anything hanging out there.
Make a motion that we withdraw our approval of the $100,000 application for the
Okay.
Lake and Central.
Yeah, it's the northwest corner of Lake and Central.
I'll second.
Second, Kyle. Okay, further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. So anyway, again, I just want to make sure that we formally acknowledge that that is not going
I'm
forward.
curious why, I thought we were told that.
I got a call
property had
from,
no value. Why would they do that?
I don't know, I forget the guy's name, Jerry, I think it is. And the owner has decided not to go forward. I don't know why. Didn't offer an explanation. Kyle, have you heard anything about why?
No.
So, okay. I would like, I think we need to go back to approving advancing the 44,000, although maybe I would suggest we make it 50 for the removal of storage tanks on 23, that we have not actually authorized that grant, that brownfield grant application that Justin was talking about, the storage tanks at our service station.
Motion to authorize submittal, acceptance and submittal of.
Approval to submit.
Approval of the application for 50,000.
Okay.
Second.
Second, Kyle. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Karen, if you could let Justin know that he's got the formal board approval to move forward on those, that'd be good. Get that going. Okay, we have a couple more relatively minor items on the agenda. Township representative. Unfortunately, Michelle is not technically a board member at this meeting, but we've appreciated her contributions over the last year. And as I mentioned early on, she is going through the renewal process with the townships that need to approve her membership. So I would just suggest the board authorize Michelle to rejoin the board for a 2-year term ending December 31st of 2025. Assuming, again, she gets the approval from 3 of those townships.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Michelle, you got your work cut out for you, convincing 3 townships to vote for you. All right, and thank you, we'll be glad to have you back on board. Travel policy updates, Karen pointed out that we had a couple instances in our travel policy we approved last year, I think it was, that had the auditor as the organization that the expense reports were submitted to, and obviously that isn't the case in the land bank, so. Karen?
Yeah, Karen First, fiscal manager again. Yeah, they were on page 3, item 4. It talks about submitting to the auditor's office for the employee to receive reimbursement. The land bank doesn't submit anything through the auditor's office, so I would suggest maybe land bank treasurer or land bank clerk, whatever you all feel necessary. And then also on page 5, the second to last paragraph, it also talks about and forward approved travel documents to the auditor's office for payment. So again, change that to land bank treasurer or something to that effect.
Okay.
And then we also I had drafted up a couple, like the travel request form and the travel reimbursement, and just drafted them off of what the county uses currently in case we wanted to adopt something official, so.
Yeah. And you know, since Michelle and Dave have expressed interest and submitted, you know, outlined expenses, I would suggest that we approve those without requiring those forms to be filled out, since you've submitted the expenses. You filled it out already? Yeah. Oh, he's ahead of the game. Anyway, first of all, let's take action on the travel and expense, the travel expense policy. I don't know if anybody has any suggestions or any other comments. These are just routine updates, and treasurer will act as the gathering point or submittal point. Karen will review and approve then.
Motion to amend the board's travel policies to replace auditor's office with treasurer of the Delaware County Land Reutilization Corporation.
Yep, that works.
And make the treasurer of the land bank the point of submittal.
Yes.
Okay.
And the treasurer's point of submittal.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Karen, you got what you need?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
All right,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Okay, now having done that, we do need to approve 2 travel expense submittals, and we may have a third.
Well, and I don't think I'll be able to go for the entire program. I'm waiting to get a copy of the agenda. So with Karen's help, we kind of guesstimated I went up for one day, maybe one night. It'd be about 560, so I'd say 600
Okay.
to add to whatever the
Okay.
2 other totals are.
Yeah. We do need to
For you.
approve those. I think, Dave, you've used the new form. This is the Ohio Land Bank annual meeting up in Akron in April. So I can't go because I've got a SEPCO board retreat for 2 of those 3 days, so I can't go, but
Yeah, I use the new form, and it's the same estimates.
Same dollars.
Numbers that were in the 2 emails.
okay. Okay, so we have, I guess we'll put Commissioner Merrill at $600. Dave, you at, what's your total?
750, 850,
750 to 850?
750, 850, 758.50.
Man, you are precise.
The difference is probably the lodging, I'm guessing.
It's actually parking.
Parking?
Yeah, the lodging, I know what it's gonna be.
I don't,
Okay.
well, I don't see parking on here, so
So- So use 800 for you, Dave? That
Yeah.
good? 600 for Gary, 800 for Dave. Michelle, you're, I think, at 1,000, 900? Got you at 900 to 1,000? 1,000 for Michelle? And again, Michelle's would be contingent upon her rejoining the board, obviously, at our next board meeting.
Thanks, Michelle Bonney, Orange Township Administrator. My estimates were just based on Orange's policy, so I didn't look at the land bank's current policy, so that's probably why it is a little more, because I just factored how we handle meals and mileage, but
Okay.
I didn't consider parking, but I wasn't sure if the hotel was near the event.
When I did it on MapQuest, it looked like it was probably about a half a mile walk, maybe.
Okay,
which,
so assuming it's not like today,
depending on the
yeah.
weather, you might or might not want to do an Akron in April, so.
Karen used 240 miles on my estimate.
I estimated 250 round trip.
So you drive in circles a little bit.
Yeah, and I got 228 on mine, so.
So 240 right there.
We're all close.
I figured I'd be driving back and forth between the two, the lodging and the conference site, so.
Would you make, well, maybe we just do an aggregate number, $2,500,
Yeah,
rather than breaking
that'd be
out
all
per
right.
individual, just to keep it a little
2,500 for the
simple.
3.
That's a little more than
Is
the
that-
3 added together.
Okay. Okay, entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we allot $2,500 for the Land Bank Conference in April.
Okay. Any further discussion? Second by Kyle or Dave?
I just
Kyle?
have one comment, sorry, since I don't want to register until I'm officially back on the board, so I might have to pay the general registration fee,
It's
but
a little higher, sure. But again, it
You've got
needs to be,
time,
it says until February 1st.
Really. You don't think you could herd the cats to get you done?
I can't herd mine, so.
herd the cats. Yeah. Ally, and we need to make it subject to Michelle obviously being reappointed to the board in the meantime.
Gary, I'll watch the site, and when they put the
Program, agenda,
syllabus up, I'll
appreciate it.
get a copies to you guys.
Did we take a vote already?
Made a motion a second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Travel policy updates. Ohio Land Bank, other business, that's all I had. Anybody else have other topics? We'll get in touch with the people who are interested in demolition work in round 1 or round 2. And obviously, hanging on the horizon is round 3. I think it'll happen, but obviously we can't guarantee that at this point.
We probably should get a date for the next meeting because of the time sensitivity.
Yeah, let me work on that, because, again, everybody's, we'll have, Ally can do a doodle, I think, and get a date that'll work for most of us. So, Scott, anything else?
No.
Okay.
But when you set a date, will it be a relatively short meeting, you think?
Should be, because I think all it will be is just round one demos, and I think at Brownfield, unless something comes up in the meantime, Brownfield is moving forward.
The reason I ask is we'll be in the middle of the presidential primary then, and I don't know how busy I'm gonna be up at the board and getting
Sure.
away.
And it'd probably be helpful to have the applicants here to answer questions or feel the sense of urgency, wouldn't you think?
Yep, sure, if they can
So
make it.
we should encourage that or
Oh, yeah,
suggest that?
yep. Okay. Any other business? Last chance? All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll get a date set for late February, early March, and we'll see what Diane's working on too. So, meeting stands